Welcome back to my family's forever home build. Behind me, you see the kitchen I'm standing in right now. There is nothing in here yet, but what I am installing is the most important piece of equipment for me and for my family's health in this kitchen. Aside from the food that we eat, which obviously is gonna be very important that we prep in here, how we get rid of the byproducts of making that food is really critically important. If there is one piece of equipment that everyone should have to help their family be healthier in their home, it's a kitchen exhaust hood that goes outside and works the way that it's designed to. If you've been following this build, you know that we're probably gonna be doing something a little more special than what is normally done. And that is definitely the case here. So behind me, what you see is a duct that's an 8-inch round duct going straight through the exterior wall to the fan that's mounted outside the house. Normally, the main problem with these fans is that people do not use them, even if they are installed properly and even if they do go outside. If it doesn't go outside, by the way, you can easily find out if you just put your hand up, or if you see a little vent somewhere on it, put your hand up to that. If air is blowing at you, it is not going outside at all. It's either in or out. If you feel it coming in at you, that's bad. That's called recirculating, and that's the lame way to do it. Somebody cheated you by not punching a hole in your wall and putting it where it needs to go. So the main problem is that people don't use it, and the main reason that people are not going to use a kitchen exhaust hood is because it sounds like crap. Do not assume that this is the way that it's supposed to be. In fact, ours is going to be so quiet that you might not even be able to hear it. It's the same way out in the tiny lab, our tiny house on wheels that we've been living in for the last almost 5 years. We're very excited to be moving into this house. It's so quiet that I will walk past it and realize that it's been on for the last 15 minutes and we didn't realize it. That is what you want. You don't want to leave it on, but you do want to have it be quiet enough that you can have a whispered conversation right next to it and it's not a problem. That's when you might start using it every single time you cook or make toast, which is what we do at our house and what we recommend that you do at your house. So the fan here is mounted outside the house, which automatically makes it quieter than if it were right there in your face. And normally it is going to be right there at your face because you don't want it to be too high. If your fan is too high, it's not going to work properly, and that's the other thing. So what I have done here is duct in with an 8-inch duct. I'm going to have to cut this back. To this, I'm going to be hooking up an elbow, one 90-degree elbow. That is going to restrict the flow, but that's okay because we've planned for that. It's designed into the system. Now this 8-inch duct is going to go down and go through an 8-inch silencer, which is going to make it even quieter than it already is. And then it's going to go into the liner. Now the liner has on the top of it a 10-inch round hole. And that's because it's a 42-inch wide model, and they're expecting that you might want to blow a whole lot of air through that. I'm going to downsize this to an 8-inch to match the rest of this. Normally, that's not a great thing to do. It means that you're restricting the airflow, you're creating higher pressure, which means it's harder for the fan to work. But in this case, the fan is not built into my hood. If the fan was in the hood right in front of me, then when it pushed, it would be pushing into a more restrictive opening than it was designed to. In this case, our fan is at the very end of the run and it's pulling from the end. And because the fan has an 8-inch round built into it, which leads to this 8-inch duct, which leads to the 8-inch silencer, it's okay that we're downsizing to that 8-inch because that's what the fan is designed to do. So just restricting ductwork isn't always a bad thing. You always want to put it in context of what it is that we're trying to be nice to. In this case, the fan, and in this case, the fan is designed for an 8-inch duct. All the components in our system are Fantech brand. So this is their hood liner, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's a steel sheet metal box. That's all it is. It's just a box. No, nothing inside of it until you put into it the electronics, which go up here, and then the air flow goes through here, and there are a series of filters, as you can see right here. These fit into this space here. All of this is stainless steel, by the way, which is why there's this protective covering on it. This is the electronics cover. There are 2 halogen bulbs here and here, so this requires its own power from the wall, but the fan, again, is outside, so all we're doing from here is controlling it with these knobs that are over here. So we've got these 2 knobs. The outer one is for the fan, the inner one is for the lights. Now, I replaced one of these knobs because I wanted to use the EC function on my fan, which basically means that it can run from 0, infinitely variable, up to its full speed. So I can kind of adjust it, and it's not just 1 speed, 2, 3 speeds, 5 speeds, it's infinite speeds. In order to do that, Fantech makes a switch that's specifically for electronically commutated motors, and you need to solder it onto the wire leads. And that, don't be afraid of that. I'm an idiot about soldering. I literally have this $5 or $10 soldering iron, and I just bought some solder at a hardware store. So you watch one YouTube video, and you've got the knack of that, and all you have to do is just make those connections. You will need 4-wire control line going outside. Now the hood liner is successfully fastened to the wall. This structure has several different types of metal hangers on it. I just wanted to make sure that it was both square and level and gonna be strong and hold to the wall. I'm also gonna hold it up with strapping from the front just to make sure that it doesn't droop over time. And I almost just made a mistake. I've been fastening these ducts together, just like every duct in this house, with these little sheet metal screws. And I, of course, fastened all this together because I had to lift this all as one unit to get it fastened up to the duct elbow coming out of the wall. But I can't fasten through here because what is right there is a butterfly damper that's a one-way valve, basically, to make sure that air can go out easily but will not come back in if the house is depressurized. And so I almost just screwed in there. And if I had done that, what would have happened is this fan wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have sucked the right amount of air. How would you know? Most people don't know. It would sound loud. Maybe you have a perfect, beautiful kitchen exhaust system, but the one guy who was installing it made the mistake of not thinking clearly and just went ahead and screwed in. And what the screws would do right next to that butterfly damper is hold it closed or hold it open. And either way, it's not doing what it's designed to do. So I am not screwing in there. And if I am not screwing this connection right here, then I might as well not screw this connection either. Why would I not screw on purpose? Well, the screws are going to be sticking into an airstream that is not just full of air, it's also full of grease. And yeah, a lot of grease is going to get trapped by this thing, but there will be some grease that gets past it. And every little thing that sticks out into the space is going to become incredibly yucky over time. So I don't really want to have other things inside of this airstream that are going to be able to catch grease and form little stalactites of disgustingness later. I will seal all of this to make sure that it's perfectly airtight, and that mastic seal up there is going to form enough of a bond that it will keep it from rocking around. It'll be a more stable connection. Okay, so now I've cracked open the door. And that's really important because this house is super airtight, as you may already know if you've been following this build. And this is what the hood sounds like on high. There's a little buzzing that I'll get rid of, but that's pretty quiet. I'm gonna be happy with this. So you can even just stand right here and still have a whispered conversation. It's not a problem. This is not rocket science. I have never done this before. I learn wiring every time I build a house, the tiny house being my first practice and then this being the second. This is not genius level stuff. So you could literally do this yourself if you really had to, although hiring a contractor who can really help you if you don't know much about tools and how all this stuff is supposed to work is preferable. And I would say that if you can find an HVAC contractor, that would always be better than having an electrician because electricians don't necessarily care about airflow. They don't know much about it. Might not be a big deal for them. Or noise. HVAC, it's a lot more of a tuned in thing where this is the thing's job is to move air from one place to another. That's really who should be installing this. If you don't understand the principle that all ductwork should be airtight because you want the air to come from where you are sucking it from and go to where you are sending it to, along the way it should not be leaking out of accidental nooks and crannies. So, mastic, cheap paintbrush, this is your friend. Now, when we're sealing this, if you don't understand what this thing is and how it's put together, you might not know how many things you need to seal. This is my joint between this piece and this piece, but I also have a seam where it's wrapped around itself and fastened. This is a seam right here, this is a seam, and this is a seam at the bottom, and every single screw that's going through this. I'm gonna go ahead and hit. That's probably total overkill because one of the other beauties of this system that we put in, which is again, the Fantech system is a little bit different than what you might get if you just go to a big box store and ask for a kitchen exhaust. The fan being on the outside of the house means that every single hole that is in my ductwork that I accidentally leave, which I'm intending not to, but just in case you didn't seal any of the ductwork, you will not have grease shooting out into your house. Every hole becomes a suction point, so you'll be pulling all of the air that's going into this thing is going in through leakage points until it hits the outside. So that's just another cool thing. If you were to do this and not seal up the ductwork and you had a typical fan underneath, then every single leakage point becomes a place where greasy air gets shot out into your house instead. Another downside of that. So there's just so many things about this system, and we haven't even gotten to the makeup air system yet, which is next, that are elegant, and I'm happy so far, except for the fact that, of course, super airtight house means that when I turn this on, I'm gonna be able to feel it in my ears. I do not have a door open right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and kick this on high. The blower door test for this house is about 300. This fan is capable of pulling about 600. That's 2 blower door tests at the same time. So I don't want to run this without a makeup air solution.